What's up, everybody? Love you guys. Check this out. Welcome to the Bowman Legacies podcast, where we're brought to you by, of course, Bowman Legacies, making life better for the blue-collar person, one CEO at a time. Check us out at bowmanlegacies.com, especially bowmanlegacies.com/lead from the middle. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we do have our own app now. And we have provided free resources on that app to help you to rise above, to love, live, and lead on a higher level. Also, when you go to that /lead from the middle, we have a course there that's going to change the way that you lead. It is going to revolutionize the way you lead and help you to 10x. So today, yes, we have a new background. There's a new office here. We have the new Bowman Legacies office. This is my office. Anita's office is really classy. She's so nice. She's such a classy lady. She's so good. But anyway, we are ever unpolished and unapologetic. So when you get us, you don't get the drone shots. You don't get a lot of the polished. You don't get the great editing. You don't get the cool sets or the great lighting. I'm trying the lighting thing, but I literally am lost at what to do. However, what you do get is phenomenal uncut content. What you're always going to get from us is deep cuts that help you to grow, to help you to move forward, to help you to understand that you don't need to be a different leader at home than you do at work, and vice versa. It only takes one. It only takes one. And because of that concept of us being unpolished and unapologetic, we're coming to you today with our new set for our podcast, or at least we think this is what it is, and we're trying it. We are starting somewhere. Because of my health, the podcast did die previously, and we're getting ready to start that back up. And as you can see, there are 2 seats here, 1 and 2. And so we're going to have Nita here and other guests here. And Nita, for those of you who don't know, is my wife, but she's also our vice president and head of marketing here at Bowman Legacies. And she does a phenomenal job. And she is an absolute savage and, coincidentally, my coach. So she really helps me on a high level. My overarching point to all of this is, and then I'm all over the place here and I know it, is we had to start somewhere. We had a dream 7 years ago now that I felt as though, because CEOs and presidents of companies were constantly coming to me for advice through LinkedIn. They were seeing my post, they were seeing different things that I was doing, and they were coming to me for advice. They wanted help, both at home and at work. They wanted to learn how to 10x their lives, and they didn't know how to do that, and they felt stuck in the weeds. And so they would just come to me. And I was cool with that. I didn't care, but I thought, you know what? I've got a job to do here, and I'm helping all these people, having all these side conversations. I could make this a side hustle. Well, that side hustle became a full-time hustle because I lost my job. And we had to start somewhere. Many of you have a dream right now. You have wanted to start this dream, and it's nagged at you for a long time. But you're not willing to start it. Whether it's the fear of failure or it's the fear of not being able to start where you want to be. And that's where I was so many times, like with this podcast. I want the dark lighting. I like that Ryan guy, whatever his name is. I can't remember, but he's got this cool lighting and it's all backlit and it's super sexy. I've been trying to do that all day. This is what you see right now. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, this is it. This is all I could come up with. I know it's awful, but I'm willing to understand, to start somewhere. Humble beginnings, I'm going to tell you, is one of the best ways to start anything, whether that's a business, whether that's a podcast, your band, your dream, fill in the blank. I've seen too many businesses start with all the money, with the great website, and then just collateral damage after collateral damage happens, and it affects people's lives, and it just is soul crushing to watch people go through it. But they had everything. They should have been successful. They had it all. They started with a podcast. They started with a great website. They all looked polished. Everything looked great. And inside, they're just a whitewashed tomb. It looked good on the outside, but when perception versus reality hit, there was just nothing but death and decay. And I've seen it time and time again. But then there are people out there that have great ideas and great dreams. And those dreams don't just help you, they help other people too. And it's nagging at you and gnawing at you and gnawing at you, just like this business did for me. I said, hey, look, Anita, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm thinking. All these people are calling me. And she's like, then let's just start. And I said, yeah, but we don't have a brick and mortar office. And we don't have the money for that. We're going to have to loan up. I don't want to lose the house. That was always my thing. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose the kids. And I don't want to lose the house and 30 acres. We don't even live at that house anymore. But, and so she looked at me one day in all that panic and she says, Michael, I'm not asking you to revolutionize the world here. Let's get our priority on debt. Let's get our debt down low. I think you've got a phenomenal idea. People are flooding you, coming to you, asking for your advice. That advice is valuable or they wouldn't come to you. That wisdom that they're seeking is valuable or they wouldn't come to you. Whether it was personal coaching or it was, one-on-one or trying to help one of their leaders or it was, trying to revolutionize their org chart and help them to lead in such a way they don't feel like they had to hire people all the time. All these things that I was good at, conflict resolution, helping people just get up out of the gutter and move forward and have hope. All of these things that I was good at. And he just said, now is the time. Now is the time. And then I would say, but we don't have money for a website. We don't even know how to build a website. We don't know this. We don't know that. And I kept making excuses for a long time until there was no more excuses to make. It was put up or shut up time. And if you look at us now, yeah, we have a website, BowmanLegacies.com. And I love our website. We have this podcast. We have our own courses and lessons online that you can take. We have our own app now too, where you can watch the app or even, plug it into your Bluetooth. And as you're driving down the road, you can learn great leadership principles and get filled with hope. We have a newsletter. We have a newsletter that, we have a very high percentage of people that get the newsletter, open it, and higher than most businesses today. And so when you look at us now, you're like, wow, look at all these things. But we didn't have those things. All we had was an idea. We just had to be intentional about doing the next right thing. And we did that one step at a time. And I remember when I got our first client, here you are, no net, no trust fund. Anita and I weren't raised in the household of trust funds. It was, hey, if you want it, you got to do it. if you want it, you got to build it. And that's how we grew up, which was a phenomenal thing for us, actually. It gave us a very strong work ethic and determination, and we work well together because of it. But we didn't have any of these things. We just started. And when that first client came, I was so geeked out, and I served. I under-promised and over-delivered. And then because of that person started to brag about what I did in his life. And when he started to brag, I got another guy from California. And then after he started bragging online of what I did in his life, then I got another guy from Maine. And that guy, he started bragging. And when he started bragging, people started listening. And the business grew. I don't want to keep you long. I hear podcasts nowadays are roughly around a half an hour, 20 minutes. And so I don't want to keep you a long time. But what I want to say is this. When my wife and I was working for a non-for-profit, within the first year, they told us, hey, you guys are going to have to host and create camp. Our camp's a big deal. Well, Anita and I did not live the charmed life as kids growing up and going to summer camp. We didn't know what summer camp was like. We had no clue. We had never been. So we had nothing to reference. And I did some research on what was in the old summer camp, and it was supposed to be such a big deal, but really it was a big babysitting job, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. The former guy who did it had zero creativity whatsoever, and I wouldn't have wanted to go to it. And so when I heard what they were doing previously, I just told one of my mentors there, Perry, I said, Perry, I don't want to go to this camp. This camp is lame. This camp is dumb. Why would we go to this camp? And he says, I don't know. And he says, well, what kind of camp would you want to go to? And I said, I'm going to tell you. I want something fully immersive. I want Disney in the Midwest. We've got all this property around us. We have access to it. We got this giant creek that runs right through the middle of it. Let's build camp here. Instead of traveling to some place in southern Indiana, let's build it here. And he's like, okay, well, what would you have at camp? And I was like, I'm going to tell you what I'd want. I want horseback riding. He goes, well, okay. And he got a list down. He wrote it down. He said, well, what else would you want? And I said, well, I would want like archery and that sort of thing, the BB guns, maybe some paintball, not shooting each other with little kids, around, but maybe aiming and shooting at cans or something. I said, I don't know. I said, gold panning. I'd want a Civil War fort. I'd want cowboys. I'd want bad guys that are dumb, like, just can't hit the broadside of a barn. You couldn't hit a bull in the butt with a handful of rice. And, just goofy comedy and a lot of fun. And the kids would be able to chase those guys. Matter of fact, and I just started expounding. I think we should do a full feature movie that the kids get to watch clips of every week, along with like puppet skits and songs and everybody having a good time and live music. And they get to watch this movie. They see the bad guys on there, and then they get to catch them while they're out there. And if they catch one of the bad guys give them gold. And whoever has the most gold at the end of the day gets a prize. And I just started adding all of these things and all these things and all of these things. And I said, and we've got to have great food. We got to feed the kids. I said, this nonsense that they were doing at the old camp, man, I was like, the menu was so disgusting. Who wants that? No, you want to eat good. You got to feed a kid, man, so you can have the energy to do what he's going to do. And I just exploded. And he said, let's do that. I want to go to that camp. Let's do that. And he literally looked at me and said, can I play? Oh, I was like, Perry, I wouldn't know the first clue of how to even start this. And Anita was there. And Anita said, one step at a time. You've got a vision. It's no longer a dream. We're going to take that vision and turn it into missions, and we are going to go kill it. We are going to take these one step at a time, and in a year, these kids are going to have the time of their life. Well, fast forward to the next summer. It is one of the hottest summers that we had on record at that time, and it's day one. The kids are there. We've broken them up into teams. Each team had a color, so we had red shirts, orange shirts, blue shirts, and green shirts. So those were our teams, right? And then the little itty bitty, so that would come for half a day. They were in yellow shirts, so they were yellow team. They were very special. And they were so beautiful. And the very first day, it was going to be record heat. And we had what we called the Native American Village, where we had, reenactors there and all this stuff. And this is our first go. And the guy who was over that area guaranteed me he would have a teepee. Well, what he had was about 16 poplar poles from the woods that he had skinned, and then he took the bark off, and he had tarps, browned, waxed tarps on top of it. It looked like a serial killer's version of a teepee. It was so, we called it the janky. So it wasn't the teepee, it was the janky. And it was so bad. It was so bad. And everything we did was that way. Every section of it was just like half, the best we could cobble together. Nothing looked period. It didn't look old-fashioned. It didn't look right. It was awful. And on top of that, we had a thunderstorm. The thunderstorm started going away, and then the rain came, even harder than the thunderstorm, because the thunderstorm kind of was like a heat storm. We had thunder, lightning, and all that kind of stuff that came in, and all of a sudden the rain came. Well, it was safe for the kids to come out. There was no more lightning. It was still raining. So here they had to walk, over like a half mile from their group. They're going through all these areas, and sure enough, they come to the Native American Village. And it's Green Team boys. I'm never going to forget. And as it's Green Team boys, it's so hot now that the rain has stopped. It's so hot, guys, that the heat and the sun is making their t-shirts and hair steam. Okay? You can see it rising off their bodies. And the whole team came over, and I looked at the guy who was over the Native American Village, and I said, It looks like their souls are coming out of their body. It was miserable. It was horrible. We were in this field. We hadn't got to mow that field because it was a hay field. And the gentleman who owned it just said, hey, make a path on the outside because I don't want you ruining my hay. So all that pollen is everywhere. All that humidity is everywhere. Here comes these kids. They look miserable. They're already tired and the day just started. And here they come. And I'll never forget, just glowing in the dark was this redheaded, pale complected, freckle-faced boy. And he's coming around the corner and he just looks miserable. And by the time they come up to the reenactors are all looking at them like, are you guys okay? And that little kid, and I'm looking right at him, and he just looks miserable because, mom paid for this. Mom and dad paid for this, and he had to work hard to be there. And his shoulders just slumped in what I perceived as disappointment. His shoulders slumped, his eyes rolled back, his head went back, and he went, oh. And guys, my heart sank. I knew we failed. I felt like, here we did all this. We pulled all these volunteers together. We brought all these kids. We made such a big deal of hosting camp. And right off the bat, the janky, the nasty serial killer teepee just killed it for everybody. And not only that, that thing was steaming and it stunk to high heaven because it was waxed. And now the heat is hitting it. So not only was it sketchy looking, it smelled awful. And the smell was so thick you could taste it. And I'm looking at this kid and I'll never forget what he said. Oh, they've got a real teepee. Oh my gosh, this place is awesome. And all the boys just erupted. They're high-fiving, they're hugging. And I had to look back. I'm like, did this thing just magically delicious change? Or is it the same janky that I helped put up? And I look back and of course it hadn't changed. It was the same thing. And these kids were freaking out, high-fiving, having a great time. And I looked over at the team leader, who was my boss, and I said, we did it. I can't believe we did it. It's working. And he smiled. And he walked over there and he interjected with the kids and he started to play. And that was the whole point, was adults being kids. And we would just play. We would pan for gold with them. We would have a good time with them. We would teach them crafts and have a great time. And feed them well, and it was an awesome time. But we had the jankiest teepee you ever seen. We started off, guys, humbly. We started off with what we had, and it worked. Stop thinking that you have got to hold so white-knuckled to perfection. Look, you see perfection and how fake it is. You see how it's not real. And most of you savages out there despise people who are fake. You can't stand it, and you smell it like blood in the water, like that guy is a pretender. We used to say at Xers, you say that guy's a poser. He is not who he says he is, and we had no respect for him. So you know what that's like. And with so many people who have got it all, they're just pretending, they're faking it until they make it. Guys, you're not that. You be proud of yourself. You got this dream, so start it. Start it. Fill your mind with wisdom. Read good books. Lead from the middle. It's going to teach you how to lead on a high level. And it oversimplifies and demystifies all of a sudden. Everybody makes it so complicated, and it's not. It's not. Leading from the middle or leading on a high level is easy. It's actually easier than having to work harder. Stop feeling like it's always got to be perfect. You've got your version of the teepee. You've got your version of the janky. So did we. So did we. So get out there and start. Just start. Start to break that dream you've got down into a vision. And then once you have that vision complete in your mind, break it down to missions and just knock one off after the other. Stop feeling like you've got to eat the whole apple at once, because you don't. You don't. And I'm going to tell you, those people who don't start humble and don't start small, they've got problems of their own. And there's a lot of catching up to do. And if they don't, perception versus reality never meets. and they never do accomplish that thing that they want to. But you, if you build it as you go, you know how every ounce of it is. You know every fiber of that dream, that vision's being. You know every portion of it and how to fix it and how it was built. And then you grow with it. You grow with it. My dad used to say, Michael, you're a perfectionist. You're a perfectionist. So much so, I think you're afraid that you're going to get in trouble if you strike out in Little League. Michael, I don't care. I want you to win. But no one's going to hurt you if you strike out. But if you don't swing, your team will never win. You got to swing the bat, Mike. And even Tony's like, you're a crusher. You're a killer, man. You're the best hitter on the team. Swing the bat. Swing the bat. I'm not going to be mad at you if you strike out. And I'll never forget, man, that game I had determined I'm swinging hooker by crook. And I hit that ball. And I remember watching it still to this day. I'm 51 years old, and I still remember that ball chasing the baseline, going right field, right over the fence. And I was running to first base, and I looked over, and as I'm starting to hit first base, I look in the home stands, and who do I see jumping to his feet? My dad. Just start. And those that truly love you will applaud. Remember, there's always opposition to every vision, every dream. There's always going to be people who want to see you fail, but who cares about them? Man, put them so far in your rearview mirror that you don't even care. Let them laugh. Let them jeer, because you are going to keep trying. You know why? Because you understand something. You understand that nothing good is accomplished by you giving